I went to Uganda in May time, and this completely changed the way I feel about the beauty industry.
In Uganda.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mazna here, and today I thought I would do a talk through / deep dive kind of video. I've been back for a while now, so I've had the time to think and really process everything that I've learned while I was away, addressing the topics of the hidden cost of beauty and the links to child labor. So if you guys are interested, grab some snacks, get ready to learn some hard truths, and let's get into it. Back in May time, I had the privilege to go visit Uganda with World Vision. We were kindly given the access to meet the local villagers in Nigwogwe. If I'm saying this name wrong, I am so sorry. I am not a professional at pronouncing things right, apparently. And this is a village not too far from the capital city, Kampala. Here we had the opportunity to meet some vanilla farmers like Peter, who has actually been working in agriculture since he was only 5 years old and now owns his own farm. We also met Margaret, a 70-year-old widow, and her beautiful grandkids who also help her out in her vanilla farm. And finally, we met Joffrey and his lovely family who also help him out. So you guys are probably wondering, why vanilla and how does this link to the beauty industry and child labor? Before we get into it, let's define what child labor is. And this is the definition that I have been given through World Vision. Child labor is generally referred to work done by children that interferes with their education. This is in regards of physically, socially, and morally harming them. We know child labor exists in the fashion industry, but we have no clue that child labor exists in the beauty industry. Did you know that 70% of child labor takes place in agriculture? And this is where we land on vanilla. Vanilla is the second most expensive spice in the world, yet farmers who grow it and their kids are usually trapped in an endless cycle of poverty. Most vanilla is grown in small family-owned farms, such as the ones we got to visit in Uganda. Side note, I just want to say, I know we are talking mainly about vanilla today because this was my experience, but they have actually found in report that there is 6 main products. So these products are palm oil, cocoa, vanilla, shea, mica, and copper. Mica and copper are products that are mined, but the others are products that are farmed, and we are looking at mainly vanilla today. Agriculture and mining also takes place all around the world. These are some of the countries that I'm going to list. Obviously, we are talking about Uganda and my experience and what I learned when I was there. The demand for vanilla has only grown as the demand for beauty products in the beauty industry has grown. The beauty industry is expected to be worth over 622 billion by 2028. Vanilla is widely used in cosmetic and skincare for its antioxidant purposes and fragrances. You can find vanilla in products such as body lotion, lip balm, body butter, foundation, and creams. So, the reason for child labor. There is 3 big reasons why child labor is used, and one of the main ones being the reason that farmers are stuck in a cycle of constant debt, and this being caused of the middleman being paid more. So the middleman will buy these vanilla from these farmers for a lot less price and then later sell it on into the global market for a lot more. So there's a study that has been shown here in COVID-19, the price of vanilla plummeted from 200k Ugandan shillings to only 20k Ugandan shillings. So that is a big drop in value that farmers are having to deal with. This causes them to be in further debt, further poverty, later causing them to having to rely on their own kids for support as workers because they can't afford to pay other workers to work for them. Another reason why kids are used in the vanilla farms is because this vanilla plant is actually native to Mexico, and in Mexico they have native bees to pollinate their vanillas, but in East Africa, they don't have any of this. They don't have the native bees that pollinate vanilla. So each orchid, each flower is actually hand pollinated. This is a very delicate but backbreaking process. Kids are found to be in the fields for 6 to 7 hours pollinating each vanilla, which causes them to miss out on crucial education time. The vanilla pollination also has to take place early on in the day rather than in the evening after school. And in an assessment in 2022, a farmer reported that child labor has grown. So with the demand of vanilla growing, the cases of theft have been going up in these vanilla farms. Farmers in Uganda are losing 20% of crop to theft each year. This has actually caused farmers to start harvesting their vanillas beforehand. So not only has the quality of the vanilla dropped because they are having to harvest unripe vanilla, there is no way they can wait out that long because the chances of them getting stolen is so much higher. This also causes them to get paid even less than they would have if they were to sell higher quality vanilla, furthering their poverty and their reliance on their kids even more. When we were there, we were shown some guarding huts. This is where they would stay overnight, and each 40 minutes they would have to wake up, whether it be nighttime or daytime. Every 40 minutes they would go around, do their round. And this is a very dangerous process as well, because if kids, for example, are guarding these vanillas overnight, not only are they missing sleep, or even be it daytime, they are missing school. We were told that there has been cases where men would come with these big machetes, and it's actually a really, really dangerous process because they're really scared for their own lives. It's not something that the government has done enough to protect these farmers, and this is something that we want to get out there. So World Vision's aim is to make this public information. This can cause changes to happen through large business cooperation and customer demands. Research has shown when brands have been called out for using child labor in the primary sector, they have made a positive change. But we need more transparency as customers. And how can we get transparency is my next point. So number one, we need government and business legislation to clearly and publicly disclose the steps taken to address the risk of child labor and promote decent work in supply chain systems. Number two, engaging in open collaborative dialogues included in the chain, such as the stakeholder, the investor, communities, consumers, and many more, to create a system that pushes the importance of education and limits child labor. And number three, paying a fair price for the raw materials. Businesses need to be more active throughout the supply chain in monitoring who they are paying this out to, and for the government to come out with more protective laws to protect these kids and these farmers. So these are some changes that need to happen within the business. Who are World Vision and what do they do, and why I was there with World Vision? So World Vision has actually been working with this community that we went to visit. They are known to target the most vulnerable places in the world and settle up for 15 to 20 years to create a self-sustaining system. So this would be, for example, instead of just building schools and giving out books, they are actually creating courses for the adults in the village to get teaching experience. Therefore, they can run their own schools. So it's like a self-sustaining system. And they'll stay there for as long as that's needed, and as long as they feel like the community can move forward in a more moral, more better way, with the aim of it being in protection of kids and vulnerable women and just anyone that's in a vulnerable state. They want to create a better livelihood for. Their mission statement is to protect children in employment, to create non-hazardous environment for the children's health, and for the employment to not interfere with their education or their rights to just be a child. Did you know nearly 1 in 10 children worldwide work to support their families or have been trafficked, forced, or coerced to work? Of these, almost 70% is in agriculture. So some of the incredible stuff that they have already achieved in this community is, this community was really, really widely known for child sacrifices. It's really heartbreaking to even think about, actually. But now, because of them, they've actually made it completely illegal in Uganda. And this is an example of what power we have in making a positive change and a movement happening. And lastly, I just want to mention, in cosmetic, we we are aware of the vegan logo. We're also aware of not testing on animal logo, but there is no universal logo that states fair trade or no child labor, and this would be something that would be so incredible, and I would love to actually see this become a real thing in the next 5 years and it actually to be our reality. So in conclusion, what can we do to help? So first and foremost, share your knowledge. For example, nearly 1 in 10 children worldwide work to support their families or are trafficked, forced or coerced into work. Out of these, 70% is work in agriculture. An estimated 30% of ingredients that come from child labor and agriculture is used in the cosmetic industry. Products such as palm oil, cocoa, mica, vanilla, and copper are some of the ingredients that are most likely to involve child labor. So natural products may not involve synthetic ingredients, but they are more highly likely to involve child labor. And just being able to know that these are the reality and being able to share our knowledge as consumers. Number 2, use your voice, make a statement and say you are against child labor, and get brands to show us where their raw materials are coming from. We need proof. We need more transparency. If we are to just shame companies for using these key products and getting companies to not use them, this can actually cause bigger devastation in the farms. So we need to be very clear and very aware of this too. So we are not trying to cause more poverty. We are just trying to create a better system where farmers are getting paid well, where kids are not being used as much, where products that we are using are fair trade and don't have child labor involved. And this is a well-known information for the public. And lastly, you as a consumer can do your research. Find out what companies are using fair trade. Find out where these companies are purchasing things from. What does the supply chain look like? And support the ones that you believe is good. And actions like this will cause companies to become more aware and make the positive changes. Use your consumer power. And lastly, I just want to say World Vision doesn't want to start canceling, naming, shaming brands. Their aim is to just simply get this information out there so there is some form of positive change taking forward. And this is the high price of beauty and child labor involved in the global cosmetics. So I can breathe now. That was intense. So I've been really sitting on this information for a long time, and I've been processing it. I've been trying to understand it. I've been trying to figure out what's the best way to get this out there. And I just felt like the best way would be for me to just sit down and just go through it, like a deep dive kind of informative video. I believe there are other bloggers that will be doing information on the other ingredients. So if you guys are interested, I'll link those down below too if I can find it. I have linked all the resources below. More that you want to learn, if there's stuff that you want to get more active about, all the information will be below. I will highlight it the best I can. Thank you so much for watching this. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. This was probably the most informative video I've ever made, but I've enjoyed making it. I've learned so much in the process, and I am genuinely a grateful, better person for this, I believe. And I hope to be the part of the change, the part of the consumer, and the part of the movement that's going to hopefully make this a better thing. And I want the families to receive equal pay, and I want the kids to be able to go to education and become what they want to become. When we went to meet Joffrey, we asked his kids what they wanted to become, and they said they wanted to become pilots and engineers and doctors and fashion designers. And it's just so heartbreaking that this is their life and this is what they've been given, and because of the circumstances, this is what the outcome has caused. And they are so unaware of where their products are going, and it's such an essential part of us as people in the beauty industry and people that are using beauty products so much. And I remember there was a moment where we gave Margaret and her grandkids some of the products to try out, vanilla products, so vanilla creams and fragrances, and they had no clue where it went, what happened to them. And they deserve that information. They do. It just breaks my heart that the world we live in is so connected, yet it's so different. Like, we in this West world know nothing about what's happening in those countries, and people there have no idea, and it's so connected still. And yeah, it was definitely a very eye-opening experience for me, and I hope it somehow opened your eyes too, and we can move towards a better future. And I would love to see a fair trade or no child labor logo in the next 5 years' time. So this is Masna. Thank you so much for listening, and stay blessed.